Investors, Wesley here. Today we're looking at DFN from quadravest. Now they're a little different, so today's video might be quite detailed, but very important to learn if you're going to be investing in any split share fund, especially DFN. Let's jump right into it. So here we have the quadravest website. They have one of the worst websites I've ever used. It's awful. So I'm going to start from the front page here. So what we want to look at is all products. They have a bunch of products here. I recommend just looking at DFN, which is your Dividend 15 Split Corp for today. Half of these are junk. You don't want them. But this one we want to look at. So for today, we're kind of looking at, is DFN worth buying? Are they worth putting money into it long term? I'm all for the cash flow. So from here, we're going to go to fund features. This is going to give us the overview, some of our holdings, and a few things now. I'll tell you kind of what Dividend 15 is, and then how you can look at a split share fund, because split share funds are very different from just kind of like an all-in-one ETF or a covered call ETF. So a Dividend 15 is an investment corporation designed to pay monthly cash dividends, which is exactly what we want for the cash flow style. Here we have 15, or roughly 15. So you got a bunch of banks, some energy here, so some great diversification. You do only have 50. We're going to keep going down here. And before we get into this, we're going to see what a split share fund is. So I suggest you read through this because it's very important. So with a split share fund, you have one fund with two classes of shares. So you can read through this. I'm not going to read all of this, but for us, for cash flow investors, we're looking at the Class A or capital share. Preferred shares, if you know anything about investing, are obviously preferred when it comes to dividends, or if the fund was to close, they'd get preference. Here we're looking at the Class A share. The Class A share investor would typically participate in any capital appreciation or depreciation in the portfolio, and any additional dividends or income generated from the underlying portfolio. We receive all the gains or losses on the entire portfolio. Class A shareholders would see a more magnified return from the structure than just holding all of them. And the reason for that is because Class A shares have leverage and covered calls. So you're getting, if the market goes up 10%, your Class A shares in this example would be up 20%. Same thing with your covered calls. You're getting a lot more income, hence why the yield is so high. We'll get into the yield a little later. Same thing with the depreciation though. If the fund goes down 10%, then your Class A shares go down 20%. So it can hurt someone's. But here, so what shares for me? In this case, we want our Class A shares. Obviously, distributions or dividends are going to change. So the dividends first, when the split share gets dividends, it pays all the preferred shares first, their yield. So their yield is quite a bit less. Here we go. So the preferred share here is at 5.82% with a very large market cap here. Now DFN is the one we're looking at. The Class A is at 15%. So the yield is extremely high with the smaller trading price here as well. So after all the preferred share dividends are paid, then the Class A, which is myself, would get their dividends after that. And so there's a net asset value rule of the NAV 15. So what happens with a split share fund, for the Class A shares to be paid, the net asset value, objectives kind of just what we said here. For shares, Class A shares, monthly cash dividends, which is great. Here under the valuation, the net asset value has to be above $15 for the Class A share dividend to be paid. It's February now, so let's say this is under $15, then the next dividend declared, Class A shares would not be paid a dividend. And that's very important to know why you're missing dividends some months, because this net asset value drops under 15. But with leverage and with your covered calls, you have a lot more risk, and this fluctuates a lot. Here are more holdings, a few more information. What we want to do is news and updates, and this fund updates page is very good. I like to look here every month when I've invested into DFN. What they do, total net assets, so this is the preferred share and the Class A share. So $1.7 billion. It's a huge fund. Inception date, termination date. So this is also important with split share funds. They all have a termination date, and they can all be renewed once that termination date comes. So come December 1st, 2024, the fund can decide if the fund will close or if the fund will be renewed. So not a lot of funds are terminated. The reason why is quadravest doesn't make money if the fund closes, because obviously we pay management fees. So they want to do everything they can to keep the fund open, which helps us investors, because when I'm buying into DFN, your shares won't go away, but what will happen is the preferred shares will get their net asset value, which is around 10, or their unit asset value is about $10 typically, so they'll be paid their $10 per share, and then DFN will get whatever is left over. So it could be higher than what you're paying, so you could win out, or you could lose typically, because they fluctuate so much. And with the net asset value here being $16.21, $10 would go here, your $6 would go here. Obviously, if you're buying at $8, then you get $6 in return. Not really what you want. Go to distributions. Here it shows distribution. Sometimes this can be hard to see because if they do skip months, DFN has missed dividends. Here's the preferred shares, here's the total. Unless you're buying both, the total doesn't really matter. But I want to skip to my TD EasyWeb investor login, and I'll show you that now. So here we have the dividend chart. This is TD Web Broker here, and just logged into my account. And if you go over to charts, you can set your indicators. So you want dividends here, dividend yield at the bottom. Events, you want your dividends, and this will show you when the dividends are paid for DFN. So you can see where the dividends are being paid. Then you can see here with the dip for 2020, this is when stocks crashed. So obviously your net asset value, your NAV, is going to drop because the fund is worth less. And this is when your Class A shares are not being paid. You can see we had January, February, then we skipped March, April, May, then we went back to June. So that's several months of missed dividends. Let's say you do have, if this makes up 50% or 100% of your portfolio, like some of you I know that watch the channel, right? You're missing large gaps of dividends here. September, you're missing October, right? February, March, April, May. I think we get all the rest, June, July, August, right? So not super recently, but I do want that to be open, right? 2016, did we miss one? December? Oh no, we didn't. December, January. But if you go back, you can see where obviously you have skipped dividends. Just something to keep in mind with the $15 NAV rule. Just be checking out for that. You can see the yield 30%, but obviously it doesn't really matter because you're not paying. Here you're at 15%. You know what? The yield rises. Oh, we have a friend. Hey, buddy. Say hi to the investors. As your yield comes up, that's when your net asset value comes down. So you can see here, basically 2 years of no dividends. FTN is quite a bit more concentrated when it comes to dividends, right? January, February. Now you're going to December, right? Basically 12 months of no dividends. Right now the dividends are really good. You're getting a 13, 14, 16, 17, 18% yield on that, which is absolutely fantastic. Buddy, you got it? Yeah, give me a minute. Which is an absolute fantastic yield, but when the dividend isn't paying, it doesn't matter how high your yield is because it's zero. So something to keep in mind with DFN, right? You don't want to have a lot of money in the fund documents you can read through here. Now they do have some other ones, quadravest, FTN, one of these, Financial 15, fund features, right? So this is basically just banks, Sun Life Financial, Manulife, right? The yield is really good, but again, with the distributions, you gotta be careful with split share funds. Now there are some split share funds with the net asset value way above the $15. So you're probably gonna get a dividend every single time. You look at here, this is a GDV with Brompton. This is a good split, but there's also reasons why I'm not buying into this one at all. So unit NAV here, $18.26. The diversification on this one is you get a lot more shares here, right? I think it's the top, you have 40 holdings or top 20. This is just the top 25. But here, right, look at your closing price. So this is what we're paying, $10.61. And then the NAV just for the Class A shares. Here, right, you're paying a $2 a share premium, and that's just not worth it at the 11% dividend. That's a lot, right? So your unit NAV is a lot higher. If we look at something like E-split, this is the Enbridge split through Middlefield. I think fact sheet. Yeah, so here we're looking at the NAV, right? So you add the two, right? Because you want the entire unit share. So we're at $24, well above the $15 NAV, right? This would always pay a dividend. well, I can't, you can never say always, but here, right, your only holding is Enbridge. That's it, with one holding. Now, the yield is pretty good at 11%. Your NAV is fantastic. Distributions are fantastic. You can see over, your growth of 10,000 is really good, right? Almost doubled here. But the stock price for NAV, you can see the top 10 holdings. The stock price for ENS is quite high, so I won't be investing this until, either I have more to invest. Here with RS, I do really want RS. You can see this is all REITs. REITs has taken a huge hit lately, but these are very well diversified, right? Look at all the different types of REITs, lots of real estate, retail, industrial, right? This has an even, look at that, like $22, almost $23 for the unit NAV. This is going to be paying for a long, long time. So that's one thing I want to bring up with split share funds is they can be great and they also aren't great at the same time. Expect DFN to not always pay a dividend. That's why it's not making up a huge percentage of my portfolio. Right now my portfolio is quite small and only about $3,000. I might put $1,000 into it and it's going to make up a 25%. But until my portfolio gets a lot larger, once it kind of gets up maybe $100,000, that's where this is only going to be maybe 5 or 10%. Same as some of the other split share funds. I do want to put some money into FTN. BK, I haven't fully decided yet. I'd love to know your opinion. You can leave that in the comments below. This is very concentrated with just the big 6 banks, right? So here we can go. Let's see if we can find the NAV here. Right, the NAV's at $21 though, right? So you're well above the $15. That can change, right? Canadian banks take a hit, that that could take a big hit. Let's go here to the fund update, right? Your NAV's really good. Trading price is a little higher at $13. Right, your current yield is 14.6. I still really like let's find DFN again here. I really like DFN for that reason. It's great between the risk you take on, but the yield is, I think it's worth it. And that'll answer the question, is DFN worth buying? I think it is. Don't make it a huge portion of your portfolio, because if you do miss a dividend and you count on this to either A, live off of, or B, to constantly be reinvesting, you can't count on it because it has missed dividends. And that's what I love Webroker for. I don't think it's worth trading on because you pay $10 every time you buy or sell, which is another share of DFN, right? If you're trading at $7, that's 2 shares every time. I won't be selling very often. I think DFN could be a good buy. Just wanted to show you this right at the end. This is DFN on Wealth Simple. This is what I use to buy my stocks. I have 8 shares right now, right? That will get bigger. I'm up 0.9%. Doesn't really matter again because I'm here for the dividends. Don't always trust Wealth Simple's information. It can be extremely wrong. Makes up 2% of my portfolio. I am planning to put in about $1,000 here, hopefully over the next month or 2, into DFN. When it does pay dividends, then obviously it's going to help my portfolio grow with the cash flow. I'm looking for stocks and split corps and these all-in-one ETFs that are getting quite popular for cash flow, right? I'm not super worried about stock appreciation or appreciation in a fund. I'm looking for cash flow. I'm looking to reinvest my money every time I get those dividends. I do have a dividend tracker I want to share with you guys that I haven't fully finished yet, but that will come out in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something about DFN. Share your comments down below. Let me know if you're buying into DFN, what your thoughts on split shares, if you learned anything. I learned a ton of information researching about split share funds. You want to know what you're investing into and how it works. You don't want to be blindsided by missed dividends. The NAV dropping, what is NAV, right? You want to be knowing what these things are. It doesn't take a ton of time. You can make it quick. Go to quadravest, all products, dividend 15, fund features. I hate this website. To view a split share fund, click here, read through this. There's some great information on kind of how they work and what you want to do. Stay away, be careful of some split share funds. You don't want all of them. If we look at like TDB, can't remember, only Toronto Dominion, right? That's actually still under 14. But if we look at prime dividend, which one? There was an awful one here. Oh, 16, that's not bad. M split, maybe it was this one. $6, right? Like this is only Manulife, $6. the Class A share is never going to pay on, I shouldn't say never. It's not going to pay on this for a very long time, and we don't want stocks or split share funds that are going to pay like that. Right now, preferred share, maybe buy the preferred share. Put your money where you're going to be getting good cash flow, good safe dividends. And you want some risk, but without any risk, you're not going to be, your cash flow is not going to be very good. I hope you learned something during today's deep dive into DFN. I am going to be adding more shares into the position. I will keep you guys updated. I'm trying the new app Blossom to see how that's working, and maybe I'll drop a link down below for you guys to go check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed today's video, and leave a comment down below on what you guys think of split share funds, DFN in particular, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.